All right, good morning again, everyone, and thank you for joining this week's Weekly Wave. This week's call is going to be really focused on going over the Dropout Report that everyone has been kind of asking our office about when it's going to open, and today is the day. So to get right into it, I will start with some reminders. Maybe my screen will move. Okay, so for reminders, again, like I said last week, we do have many of our interview reports starting to open. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring and reaching out to our office. In some cases, if you're popping up with errors that you don't know how to correct, or you're not really sure why a particular error is showing up for your site or district. So for the four wizards that we do have available for you, you do want to make sure that you're taking a look at that at least daily to make sure that you're, for example, taking care of any STNs that may not have been assigned by the state. So even if you do have an STN floating around in your student information system, an STN has to be assigned by the State Department of Ed in order for that STN to be used for any reports. Obviously, if we start taking STNs from your local system, in some cases we could be in conflict with information that we have on our side. So we want to make sure that STNs are being assigned by the state, and we are in sync between the state's STN system and your student information system. So along with that, if you're seeing any errors in the data validation wizard in the Wave, you want to make sure that you're taking care of that. Obviously, there are some instances where it is okay for you to have errors or warnings, especially for, say, your English learner students. In some instances, depending on what a parent or guardian put on their home language survey, you may be in conflict with business rules for our EL office, but it is appropriate for you to put into your student information system the same information that parent or guardian gave to your district for home language surveys. The district ownership wizard, another one that you want to make sure that you're taking a very close look at. If we do have enrollment conflicts for our end of year reports, specifically, I'm going to throw out the ASR here and some instances in accountability reporting. Having those ownership conflicts will cause you some problems. Students won't show up on reports, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure that you are reaching out to whomever is listed as the contact for that site or district when you're going in and reviewing the dates that are overlapping enrollment-wise for any particular student that's showing up in the ownership wizard. And last but not least, the XSD wizard in the Wave will tell you if you do have any issues with with information being sent to the Wave that does not meet minimum requirements. So just to throw an example out here again, if we are expecting for, say, an exit code, which for all intents and purposes is usually only 4 numerical digits, and if we get text for an exit code instead of 4 numbers, then that could be a XSD error and things like that. So you want to make sure that if you do have any XSD errors, that you are reaching out to your vendor. If we do have these errors, that means that anything that was sent, so say you have an enrollment, one record is failing an XSD error and it's related to enrollments. If you do have that error popping up, any student that is associated with that error will not show up on any reports. We will not accept the data. Data is sent to the Wave in packets. So we get a bundle of information, maybe a couple thousand records related to a specific data point. So say you have one record out of the 1,000 that is an issue XSD wise, that will affect the other 999 records that were in that packet. So it's very important for you to make sure that if you do see those XSD errors that you are correcting them. It may not seem like it is a small error. Say if you only have two errors, or to records that are erroring, that situation could potentially affect thousands of records. So keeping an eye out on that is going to be a great idea for your student information system and for your mind when you're going through our end of year reports. So another reminder here, we have been getting quite a bit of emails and phone calls about why a student is not exiting in Ed Plan. Say you're going in there, and even though the special education office has asked very kindly to not manually exit a student, if you're going in there manually exiting a student and the next day they pop right back up as active, you're expecting them to either exit or transfer to another district. If you are using the exit code of 3505, which to us just means exited, in your student information system, they may have different language for that code, but essentially this is a general exit. This is used typically for grade changes. Say a pre-K student is now eligible to go to kindergarten in the middle of the year, so you're just going in and exiting and re-enrolling a student. The 3505 exit code is appropriate in those instances. If there is a situation where you're actually expecting for the student to exit, say they're going to another school or they are deciding that they want to go and get homeschooled or something like that. If you're using the 3505 exit code in those situations, you're never going to see the student exit an Ed Plan. Ed Plan does not recognize the 3505 code as an exit, so the student will remain active if we do not get a subsequent enrollment that would manually cause a transfer to occur. So again, if you're using the 3505 exit code for your students inappropriately, that is the reason why they are not exiting out of Ed Plan. You'll need to use a different exit code. And we will put the link to the special education guidance here in the chat in just a second. There you go. So that PDF does have the breakdown of all of the entry and exit codes and what will happen in Ed Plan when you use those codes. So do make sure that you're taking a look at that, keep it handy, print it out, do what you need to do with that and share it with whomever you need to. All right, well, this is one of the last reminders that I have for you all today. And it is related to alt ed students. So there has been a change in the Title 70 statute that you can see on your screen. So if you do need to double check to make sure that your student information system is sending us a yes or no for your alt ed students, you can check that on the wave under My Data. And there is a link to that here in the chat and on your screen if you're looking at this later. The link to it directly will be posted on our website soon, but this was sent out previously on the March 16th Engage OK newsletter if you get those. So do double check that if you are curious to make sure that you are seeing a yes when you're expecting it. For any student that is listed as alt ed, there will be some changes to some payments for alt ed students. So it would be very beneficial for your district if you are making sure that that is appropriately flagged. All right, so we haven't got as many questions about this report, but the demographic overlay will be opening soon. The accountability office will be sending out a notice when that report is ready to be released. We're still kind of working on some back-end things to make sure that when the report opens, everything goes smoothly so that the accountability office can get the relevant information over to the testing vendor. And have that information also show on accountability reporting. So moving on, the ASR still open, still keep looking at your calendars, making sure that that is okay. If you are seeing any issues with, say you're expecting to see a professional day or a parent-teacher conference day or anything like that showing on the calendar, and you're not seeing that information showing on the report itself, and you've made that change in your student information system, please do reach out to our office or state aid. We will double check to see what we are currently being sent. And if we're seeing that we requested for the data the day that you're saying that you've made the change, or if you made the change the night before and you're reaching out to us today and we're looking at it today, we do have the capability of looking at information as it's coming in. So if you are saying that you made a change to your calendar or attendance, I'm going to caveat on attendance, but if you are looking at your calendars, you made a change yesterday, you go into the report and it's still showing up incorrectly, that is a great situation to reach out to us for. We can double check to see if during the last request for data, if we got that change. If we haven't, we'll 9 times out of 10 direct you back to your student information system vendors support so that they can double check your system and make sure that for some reason there's no delay in getting us the information. So as long as you're making changes before 8 p.m., in most cases, we should be able to get that and it should be able to reflect on the report. If you're making really late night changes, then you'll have to wait another day because we do lock everything down as we're refreshing. So as long as the information is in our system by 8 p.m. and most student information systems are set up to send us changes as you're making them, we should not have to request for it every time you make a change. And you're still not seeing that, do please reach out to us and we will figure it out. Attendance is a little more tricky. So if you are making changes there, we do have a way set up now so that as we're requesting for data, we request for attendance on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. If in between those days, say we got data sent to us on Tuesday, but on Thursday, that same data wasn't sent to us, we will go about manually deleting that automatically without you having to send us an email and ask us, hey, we've got way too many attendance days or absence days showing up for a student. Can you delete this? We've just tried to automate that process for you. So hopefully that makes your experience reviewing attendance a little better than it has been in past years. So our request schedule is in the chat here. So if you do need a reminder of when we request for calendars or attendance, you've got that there. And as always, on the report itself, we do have the link to the web page and the YouTube videos that'll walk you through the ASR if this is new for you. And all right, the last update report-wise is for the graduation part-time Q3 report. That is still open, but we'll be closing soon on April 13th. So if you're running into any problems with that, please do reach out to Petra Woodard and she will get your answer or your question answered, or she'll reach out to our office. All right, so onwards to the dropout report. So this report is now visible in the Wave. We have not sent out a massive email, so don't be alarmed if you're like, what are you talking about? When did I see this? This is the first, you guys are the first to get a walkthrough of this report. We will be sending out an email through our normal channels very soon. We are still finalizing some guidance for you guys. This is going to be a 2-in-1 report. So this is kind of the reason why the guidance is taking a little longer to get out and for you all. And we do apologize for opening a report without having written guidance that you can reference side by side. But regardless, let's walk through this report. So it is going to be in the usual space where all of our state reporting certification reports are. So we've got a screenshot here on your screen. Go Going forward in the list of reports, you're looking for the fourth quarter dropout report. Right now it says that it is closed. This is a screenshot from earlier. Right now it should say open, and you should be able to get into the report with no issue. This is going to be closing on May 14th at 11:59 p.m. So please make sure that if you do have any questions with this report, that you are not waiting until May 14th. We are required to close this report at that time, and we will not have any wiggle room in terms of extensions like we do with some of our other reports. So please make sure that you are reaching out to our office to answer any questions before the deadline. So only sites with the grade levels of 7 through 12 are expected to view this report. So you have two examples here. These are just fake sites. And if you do have a district that does not have high school students, you will see when you go into this report in the site selector, you'll see a bunch of sites saying inactive. That doesn't mean that they are actually inactive. It just means that for this report, they do not need to complete it. We will work on the wording of this. It can get a little misleading, but for right now, if you are going into this report and you are looking at a site that only has grades lower than 7 through 12, you will see an inactive site status. For those of you who have grades with 7 through 12, you'll see, at least at the start, assuming nobody has gotten into the report as I'm speaking or earlier today, you should see not started. We have 4 certification statuses for this report. Not started, meaning nobody has opened the report for the site. In progress, meaning at least one person in the district has opened the report. Confirmed, meaning that a site principal or if a superintendent's running a dual role, that person has confirmed that site, meaning that it is 100% accurate to their understanding at the time of pressing that button. We will take a timestamp, and we do know who pressed the button. So if we ever need to go back and reference that, we can. So that is what confirmed is, and certified, meaning the superintendent has signed off on the data being as accurate as they know it. So moving into the report itself, when you first get into the report, you'll see three tab buttons that you can press. By default, we just left the site selector. So now we've defaulted into the final report. I'll get into the nuts and bolts of the final report in just a second, but the other thing that you can press here is the reporting tools, and I'll get into that in a second as well. So the other 2 things that you can see here on the report are information about the site that you selected in the previous screen, and as well as that site's status for this report. And the last 2 things here are for your principals. That is where they can go in and press confirm for the report, or if they need to release it for any reason, assuming that it's not certified, they can press the release button here as well. So for the final report, we are collecting 25 data points, and we'll display those for any student that is flagged as a dropout. And so to kind of give you an example of what we will be showing to you, this is all dummy data. So no PII was broken to show you this. So you'll have your basic demographic information, what school, what STN, the name, birth date, gender, and grade level that they were in last at your district. And then going forward, we do have the race ethnicity information, as well as some information about the program areas that the student was enrolled in while with your site. And lastly, we do have the last bit of enrollment information that we have for that student. So you'll see the entry and exit dates, and exit reasons for those students. So summed all up, 25 data points here, and you can see all of that information going forward. This portion I'm going to go through pretty quickly here. I'm not going to list out and read out every single exit code that is considered to be a dropout. automatically unless we do find that there is a subsequent enrollment. So do read through this list here. There are about 10 exit codes listed on your screen right now that would be considered a dropout by default. And the same thing goes for our non-dropout exit codes. These by default will not be considered a dropout by default. A student would be considered a dropout if they use an exit code that I'll show you on your screen here, and we are not finding a subsequent enrollment for that student. It's a little bit, for this year, I'll get into something else related to some things I'm seeing in the chat in just a moment. But here you go. So we have all of our exit codes here, and whether or not, if you're using that code, if we are expecting to see a subsequent enrollment. I'll pause just a little bit. So again, for that 3505 code, if you're using that and you're expecting for a student to return, they will show as a dropout. All right, so that is essentially the final report. It's just going to show you the list of students that are listed as a dropout with the exit reasons and et cetera for that student. So going into the reporting tools, we do have 5 different reporting tools that we have available for you. You can kind of get an idea of what they all are. I'm not going to read through all of them. For most of you, the thing that you have been asking us for, to our understanding, is the final report, where you have the list of students that could be found as a dropout. But we do have some grade grids available for you that break down by grade level and one of the 7 race ethnicity options for the number of students that have been flagged as a dropout, as well as making available the list of students that have re-entered your school site and are not considered a dropout. And these will open as a pop-up, so make sure that if you do have a pop-up blocker available or on from your browser, that you allow for pop-ups from the Wave so you can view those reports. All right, so next steps. So I was kind of alluding to some things that we do need to improve upon on this report. So going forward, we will be working on opening the twin of this report. Obviously, it's not great for us to ask you to review your dropouts at the very end of the year and expect for you to make changes to information that happened, say, in the previous school year. It's not possible. We are trying to make this as transparent as possible. So we will have 2 reports open, not necessarily at the same time, but we will have 2 versions of the dropout report open throughout the year. One being open, hopefully in April, through the rest of the year, which will just give you a chance to monitor your quarter 1 through 3 dropouts. And the second report, which is the one that we will expect you to certify, is the quarter 4 report, which is the one that just opened right now. So in a normal year, you'll be able to see any student that we are considering or we have flagged to be a dropout throughout the year. It shouldn't be a surprise for you by the time it gets to quarter 4, and this should hopefully allow you all to make changes in your student information system when it comes to exit codes. So in your student information system, you've got the best, most up-to-date information in your system. Especially when it comes to, say, transfers. If you had a student that, unenrolled and you have no idea where they're at, we are allowing you to see that information. So you can go in and update your student information system from, say, exited, unenrolled, unknown location to transferred to another LEA in another district.
Hey, Lakeisha, can you take a break to answer a couple of these questions?
Yeah, let me go back here. So we have a question from
Do you want me to read them or you want to go ahead?
Linda. I will get back to those specifically, but for Gina. For Angie, can you go back to the third list of codes, please? Will that reentry reporting tool be available all year as well? Yes. All right, let me go here, 2, 3. If this is the set you were asking for. Yes, so that reentry reporting tool will be available all year. It'll just tell you the last known school site that we have on file for that student. So we really want to make sure that, when it comes to giving the WAVE data over to accountability, that they have the best data that they could possibly have. So it doesn't require them to have to, open multiple windows and have you all bring up paperwork and et cetera, for information that you could have just changed if we allowed you to see it in a more timely manner. So obviously there's going to be some things that we will change as we get, more district input. So as you're looking through these things, please do let us know what your thoughts are going forward, and we will, if it's a great idea, we will go ahead and implement that for you. So this just sums up kind of what I was saying earlier. So next steps as well for the quarters 1 through 3 report specifically, and for quarter 4, we are still in the middle of creating a more robust and user-friendly monitoring system to catch situations where, say, you're putting in that the student transferred, but we're not actually seeing that the student transferred anywhere. And just letting you know of those things so you're not having to play guesswork and kind of find a needle in a haystack in some situations for some students. So these students, the idea right now is for them to appear and find missing students, or at least in maybe a separate window, so you have an idea of students that you may need to review. They could potentially become dropouts if we don't get any additional information or something like that. So it's still up in the air a little bit here, but we want to make sure that this is easy for you all and that we're helping you all out in the long run, not making this another report that is time intensive for you and a headache. So like I said at the beginning of this, we will be posting actual written guidance for this on our website soon, and be on the lookout for an email with that information. We will send it out through our normal channels, both through our normal Gov delivery and through the Engage OK newsletters if you get those as well. So, all right, I will go back to anything that you guys want me to go back over. I'll go ahead and stop the recording right now. But if you have any questions, please feel free at this time to